Okay, back to that breaking news. We want to share with you again that the National Post is reporting that Rex Murphy, a longtime fixture in Canadian media and former columnist, has died. The CBC News is working to confirm that report. For 21 years, Murphy hosted Cross Country Checkup on CBC Radio. He was also well known for his weekly column on the National Post's Point of View up until his departure from the public broadcaster in 2015. The National Post is reporting Murphy was 77 years old. Now, for more on all of this, we want to bring in Mark Critch. Mark played Rex Murphy on This Hour Has 22 Minutes, and his dad actually worked with Rex. Mark, thanks so much for being with us. Thank you so much, Sarah. We're just all hearing this news, reading the article in the Post. It's sort of an obituary that really, I think, paints such a nice picture of Rex Murphy. What's your reaction to this?
Well, I've only known a world with Rex in it. Dad worked with Rex at a radio station in St. John's called VOCM, and I lived right next door to that. So as a little boy, I remember seeing this man with wild hair in a golden turtleneck listening to music with Dad at the house, and he was larger than life. And growing up in Newfoundland at that time in the 70s, when I was a little kid, there were a lot of things like these Newfie joke books in Ontario and stuff where they'd make fun of Newfoundlanders, and the joke always being that the Newfoundlanders were stupid. And as Newfoundlanders, having someone like Rex on the national scene, he totally disproved that notion. He was the greatest wordsmith in a place known for talkers. And he was a Rhodes Scholar, brilliant man, but he was just as home as interviewing a prime minister as he was talking to a fisherman at the wharf back home, and probably more so on that wharf. He never lost his touch with the common folk. And, sometimes he was far right, sometimes he was right on the left. I mean, he was very far right in the last few years, but he also thought that Pierre Trudeau was the greatest Canadian ever. So you might not agree with what Rex had to say, but oh boy, could he ever say it.
Could he ever? He really was. He was incredible with words when you listen to him articulate a point of view. And as you say, you may not agree with that point of view, but you wouldn't want to get into any kind of an argument with them. Let me ask you about, you talk about how it meant so much to the people of Newfoundland. You were next door to him. You knew him as a child. I mean, when you get to know somebody on that level and you get to see that person as maybe a role model, how did that maybe shape what you thought was possible for yourself?
Well, it's like you see somebody like Rex, and he is the person the country would go to hear a commentary about the latest news item on the national news. And, it was a great piece of pride. And boy, whenever Rex came on the TV, Dad would shush everyone in the house and say, "Now you listen to this man," and he was such a great speaker. His favorite place in the world was a little place in Newfoundland called Gooseberry Cove, just a little sandy, rocky beach in Newfoundland. And this is the way he described it. He says, "But the arrival upon it and the studying at it will weld your favorite Beethoven adagio to that tease of Hopkins above, and you have a foretaste," which that's his way of saying nice beach. So he was an incredible wordsmith.
Okay, so then flash forward to the time when you're now on This Hour Is 22 Minutes. You've known him your whole life, and you're now playing him as a character, and we're looking at you in this role, and you're great at it. Was there anyone maybe more versed in him to be able to play him, and what was it like? And what did he think of you as him?
Well, I always kind of grown up like doing an impression of Rex Murphy, and I get to 22 minutes and they're like, "Well, what can you do?" And I'm like, "I can talk like Rex Murphy." And they're like, "Oh, okay, do that." And so I would do these impressions of him on the TV, never really knowing, he's not the guy you're going to bump into that often. But I did see him at a benefit one time, and then the joke was going to be that I would be on stage doing an impression of him, and he would walk out and catch me in front of the crowd. And we mentioned this to him, and he said, "No, I'll be no part of your tomfoolery." And he got quite mad. And we just said, "Rex, calm down. You're being a bit of a sookie baby here now." And he said, "I suppose I am. Fine." And then he agreed to do it, which was so weird. But yeah, he didn't really have a problem with it. He'd seen me do it many a time. Sometimes he'd give me a little pointer. I don't do this, I do say that kind of a thing. But yeah, he could take a joke eventually. At first, not so much, but he could take a joke. And he was such a great. He was such a cranky kind of exterior guy, but he would tear up at the drop of a hat if it had to do with an issue about Newfoundland and Labrador. And I always thought he would be a wonderful poet if he hadn't been so cranky sometimes. I thought there was this beautiful poet within him. And so, yeah, he was really a bit of a softie, I think, which might surprise anybody who didn't know him.
Mark Critch, it was so nice to speak with you. I just wanted to finally say, I love that you used the word sicky baby. I grew up in Corner Brook, Newfoundland, and I haven't heard that in such a long time. Mark, pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you so much.